So I'm finally getting around to canning my applesauce. So these are the apples that I got from my CSA, which is Community Supported Agriculture. And I use McLeod's Farm, which is like a mile from my house. So it's really nice, really convenient. They give me fresh produce every week, fresh cut flowers, and it's for 16 weeks is what I pay for, I believe, and it ends next week, so I'm kind of bummed about that. But here is the sieve that I'm going to use to put my apples through so I don't have to peel or seed them. And she hears me talking, and then I think she thinks it's time for her to be on camera. She's a mess. And I'm out of blueberries, so I'm having to feed her bananas right now, which I'll give her a piece here in a minute. But I get all of my canning stuff together. My jars are in the dishwasher, and the dishwasher has this great feature, and I think most of them do, is where you can delay it. So I put my dishes in the night before in my jars, and I delay it for 8 hours, so when I get up in the morning, they're ready to go. And I have my water on here, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it on so it can start warming up and stay warm. That way when they're ready to process, it's good to go. So I'm going to chop my apples, like chop them in quarters and put them in about 1 inch of water and let them boil. And then I may go get a bigger pot, that way I can process all of them at one time. And once they get soft, I'm going to put them through here. It will remove the seeds and the peels, everything, and I don't have to do it. The fruit comes out here. The seeds, the peels, the cores, everything comes out here. Put all my flesh or my fruit in here and then put them in jars and process, and we're ready to go. But I'll show you as we go along. And I'm sorry for my dog who wants to be on camera because she thinks she's a princess. Are you my Cinnamon? You my Cinnamon? So I got my bigger pot. So you need about 1 inch of water in the bottom, and a good measurement for 1 inch is between this knuckle and this knuckle on your finger, and that is approximately 1 inch. Another tip that I have, all your canning equipment, when I get finished with my canner, water bath canner, I put a paper towel, which you saw at the bottom of that. I fold up a couple of paper towels and I put those in my pot when I store it. That way I don't worry about where they are or end up losing them or misplacing them or anything. So that's how I do it. So I have my apples on the stove. And don't ask me what variety they are. They're all types, whatever the farm grows, they put in the CSA, so it's a mixture. We should make really good applesauce. The boys love my applesauce, my boys and Steve's boys. So, and this is like my stock pot that I use for spaghetti sauce and applesauce and my salsa when I can all that. And I will go down and show you all my canning stuff and all the food that I've canned for this winter in another video. So while I'm waiting on these to get soft, I'll probably go clean a little bit and then come back and check on them and then finish canning. Okay, I just finished cleaning bathrooms because being a single mom, which I'm not as much single anymore, but not engaged or married yet. But anyway, you learn to multitask. So bathrooms are clean. Came to check on the apples. They're doing good. Water's heating up. I just stirred them a little bit so they don't stick to the bottom and burn. So I'm probably going to dust nets. That way, when my boyfriend and the boys get back, they're running an errand this morning. So it's allowing me to get some stuff done, like the canning, and it's quiet. Not that I'm complaining, because it's nice to have boys running around in the morning again, because my 2 boys that are teenagers are still asleep. So I'm enjoying every minute of it. Okay, so I just stirred them and brought some of the softer ones that were actually in the water up to the top so the ones that were on top and not in the water could get in the water and get a little bit softer. I'm going to go upstairs and dust since I just finished dusting downstairs. As my mama says, I don't let any grass grow up underneath my feet. I stay busy all the time, which is important, but sometimes rest is good. But we'll be enjoying some nice applesauce this winter with all the other canned goods, so it will pay off. So it needs just a few more minutes and then it should be ready to start putting through the sieve. Okay, so they should be ready to put it through the food mill. So I'm going to take and ladle these up in here, and I'm using one with holes because I don't want my applesauce super runny, and I can take the leftover juice in here and put it through a cheesecloth or a really fine strainer, and then I'll have apple juice. So that will be nice. So I'm going to put some in this hopper, and then when I start turning, I'll start recording again. So I'm turning now, and you can see some of the juice and pulp coming out. And eventually, before long, you'll be able to see, there you go, the apple peels, the seeds, anything that won't fit through this strainer will be pushed through this tube and go in the bowl that I already have set up. So you can see, the first year we were here, I made applesauce and it was a beautiful red color. Maybe it came from the pills being left on, I don't know, but it was beautiful. So we'll see what this one ends up looking like when I'm finished with this. And then every so often you have to take your plunger that came with the food mill and push down. I got the food mill on Amazon, of course. So that's where that came from. And then you just turn, and it's really effortless to turn, and it does not take that long. It's taken me longer because I'm not pushing down as much while I'm turning, but I will pause here in a minute and knock this out, and then I will show you what I end up with before I start canning. So this is one hopper full already gone, so you can see the applesauce coming through, and here's the pills, the seeds, the cores, all the stuff that you don't want in your applesauce. So it's a great machine. They have them for KitchenAids, and I have a nice KitchenAid mixer that I got last year, but I just have not bought the attachment. This works well, so I don't see a need for it at this point. That, and they're kind of pricey, so it would be an eBay item or a Facebook Marketplace item, or maybe a thrift store item. When and if I go back to thrift stores. With the COVID, I've been kind of a homebody. I ordered my groceries on Walmart this morning that I will go pick up tomorrow, and that has been saving me as far as time and everything so far. So I think I'll probably stick with that for a while. It's so convenient, and my life was busy before, and now with my boyfriend and 2 more boys, it's even busier, but I love it. So it gives me more time to spend with them. Another helpful tip, have lots of large bowls. So I have this one, which is about 4 quarts, and I have this one, I have no idea how big it is. I would say probably about the same, maybe a little bit more. I have the one that I had the apples in earlier, this one, so I can pull it out if I need it. And I also have my Pampered Chef one that I have up here that I can also use if I need it. But it shouldn't take too much more. That was my second hopper. So I have that many more apples to go, and a lot of that will be apple juice once I strain it. So I always get excited because the boys, like I said, they love this. Even my boyfriend's boys. So it just makes me happy that I'm feeding my kids stuff that they like to eat, and I know what's in it. This is just apples. There's no need to add sugar to applesauce. You can add a little bit of cinnamon if you like cinnamon applesauce. They like to add that at the end, so I don't put it in there. So here's 2 more hoppers full. So I've gotten 4 so far. So this next batch will probably fill this bowl up. But I'm almost done. I think I may have 1 more to go once I strain out. And what I do is I've got to figure out how this works. So hopefully I can piece these together, these videos. If not, there's going to be 3 separate ones. And I'm sorry, I hit the volume button when I try to hold it on the side and it stops the video, which is a pain. But anyway, I hold this up and I let it strain out, the water strain out as much as possible. And then I put it in the hopper. That way my applesauce isn't super runny. So that's how you prevent that. So it takes a few seconds sometimes, but that's okay. The best things come to those who wait, right? So at least that's what I tell myself. And that seems to be the case lately. So, okay, so I just got my jars out of the dishwasher, so they're ready to fill. I take a paper towel and wet it, and that's so I can wipe the top of my jars before I put the lid on. I always warm my lids to soften the little rubber part. They say you don't have to do that anymore. I don't know, I guess old habits die hard. But you don't boil them. You just put it on like a low setting so they can get warm and soften a little bit. So I'm gonna fill my jars and then wipe off the tops, add the lids, and then add the bands, and then get them ready to process. So here's my applesauce. I'm gonna try to move this over. And this little tool is so I can run it around in the jars to get rid of the air bubbles. And we have to use or leave a 1/2 inch headspace, and that's so when it's processing, it can expand, but not come out of the top of the jar through your lid, because you don't want that, because then it won't seal and then you have a huge mess. So I just ladle applesauce in the jars until there's a 1/2 inch headspace at the top. My canning equipment's pretty old, but now they have these funnels where it has it marked where about a 1/2 inch is. Again, I just use those 2 knuckle joints, and so a 1/2 would be about halfway in between. So normally my rule of thumb is an inch headspace is about here, so a 1/2 inch is probably going to be about up here a little bit. And this is why your jars need to be warm, because you're putting hot liquid in your jars, and if you put hot liquid in a cold jar, it can crack. Or if it doesn't crack when you're adding your ingredients or whatever you're canning to it, when you put it into the water bath, it's going to be hot, because I already have mine heated up. Then it definitely will crack, and that's a sad day. So I need a little bit more in here. Sometimes I have just a tablespoon that I keep over here that I use to add more. So there we go. You take the top. Well, first I'm going to take my air bubble thing. You'd be surprised how much air you can get, and that way you can add more to it if you need to, and the air gets removed. And then you wipe the top really good. So that's good. And then I'm going to carry it over here. I keep it next to my water bath, and this has a magnet on it, so I can just take my lids out of here and I don't have to touch it, and put them on there. And then I'm going to put my band on, which I left over here. And you don't tighten too tight, just enough to keep that ring on there. I'm going to grab another one. That one's a little bent. And to keep that band on there, if you screw it too tight, it will buckle when it's cooking or processing, and then you're just going to have to reprocess everything again because you won't get a seal. So I'm going to do the rest of these, and then when I'm ready to put it in the water bath canner, I'll show you what that looks like. So my jars are processed and ready to go. A lot of times you'll end up with a jar that won't fill because you don't have enough to put in it. So that will go in the fridge, and that'll probably be eaten today. My youngest son can take one of these and open it up, and he'll eat the whole jar in a day. So when I put the jars in, and I've learned from kind of the hard way, even though nothing really happened, but it's easier if you like put them on opposite sides of each other. That way it kind of balances out and doesn't have the tendency to want to tip over. So I got 6 quarts of apples from probably about 2 pets. I don't know if that's a half a bushel. I have no idea. But I know each of the bags over there was a half a peck because it said it on the bag. So I probably had about 2 pets of apples. And this will take 20 minutes to process. It depends on your altitude. Any website, if you Google it, it will tell you. So once it starts boiling, which it should shortly after I drop these, I let them process for 20 minutes and they're good to go. This one's a little bent, but it's okay. So I'm going to get these in and get them going. Just make sure when you put the jars in that they are completely submerged in water. That's going to help them process. So you can see it's already starting to do its thing. So I'm going to put the lid on and let it start. When it's processing, that's when I do my cleanup, and I clean as I go so it's not so bad. So I'm going to start washing my bowls and stuff and get those put away. That way when they're finished processing, I can take them out, let them cool for 24 hours, and then rinse off the jars, and I'm done. So for the leftover juice, I'm going to strain it in this really fine strainer, and I'll probably put the apple juice in the fridge that's left. So they have finished processing, and I've lifted them out of the canner, and they're sitting on the rack. So now you can use your jar lifter, but I have these silicone gloves that I love. So I'm just going to take these and take them off one by one. Hey Google, stop the timer. If you don't have one of these in your kitchen, it's one of the best things ever. This is a Lenovo, but you can get the Google one. And I have my recipes stored on there. I can start timers. It's amazing. I also got a little over 1.5 quart of apple juice that I strained out. And so now I'm going to bring my applesauce out, and they should start popping relatively soon. So again, you kind of want to alternate when you take them out so your rack doesn't want to tip. Obviously, when you have one left in there, it will tip. I ended up getting 6 quarts, and that little one that had a little bit left in it of applesauce. So, and when I bring them out, I put them on an old beach towel, and that way I don't scorch my countertop, I don't get my regular towels dirty, and I just throw it in the wash when I'm done using it, because sometimes it'll be sticky from the applesauce or whatever. Can sometimes spill out, or if there's anything on the jars from stuff coming out when they cook, who knows. So it's just easy. They can sit there and cool. I don't have to worry about my countertop. And it's thick enough because I double it over. My regular kitchen towels, they wouldn't be thick enough. So hopefully they start popping soon. That's the best sound ever. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I gave you some tips maybe. Have a good day. One more tip, save your boxes for your food items that you use. This is the food strainer that I just used. I saved the box so when everything's clean, I can put it in the box, put it on my shelves downstairs, and it's ready to go the next time I'm ready to use it. It keeps all the dust and everything out.